Can you talk about the location? Why did you choose this particular part of the world, and had you considered others?
Well, I think the story kind of could take place in many places. Couples all over the world travel, hire guides. This could take place in lots of places. For me, Georgia was the place that I first got the idea. It was a place my parents had traveled to when they were young. My mom had hiked across the Caucasus, so I kind of grew up with this myth of Georgia. In the Soviet Union, Georgia was like the jewel of the vacation paradise of the Soviet Union. And also, the mountains there were so incredible. I mean, it's this very special landscape, you know, that looks almost like science fiction. That was another factor, I think. It was all these different things kind of converging. The other thing was that I think it's very known for its hospitality. We were talking about this earlier, you know. And the tourism industry in Georgia is kind of nascent still. So there is still the opportunity kind of to interact with people. People will buy you a beer. They might invite you to their house. And that's something very different. For me, it was important that these are travelers who seek out a place like this rather than going somewhere where like the role of the tourist is very established, like Thailand or something like this.
Hani, could you talk about your impressions when you first got the script, when you first read the part? What did you think about this woman you were going to play and of the whole idea?
Well, the first script I got was about 45 pages of descriptions of what was going to be happening in the film. There was hardly any text, maybe just a few lines here and there. And I was told that the text would be put in later on, that I would be getting a new script closer to shooting, which I did. So it was very interesting for me. I'd never read a script. I'd never written a script like that either, but I've never read a script like that. It was very exciting for me. I mean, just to think of being, you know, out in the wilderness with just, you know, mostly animals around us in the wild, hiking, which was not a very big thing for me ever, and you know, getting into shape for the film and working with somebody like Gael Garcia Bernal and all of the factors, and Julia, you know, meeting Julia, it was just a very exciting thing to, you know, look forward to.
The question is really about, in a sense, visual storytelling, that in a sense you really tell this story through visuals, through the camera angles, through the setups, through the compositions. Can you talk about that process?
Well, for me, it's a film about three characters, a landscape, and a camera, and probably sound as well. So it was always a matter of figuring out kind of when we would go in and start to film a scene, that was the first question, is how do the people move in this space and how does the camera move with them? You know, how do we, and we worked that out on the spot with every scene. How do we dance? It really was like a kind of complicated choreography that we would work out on the spot every morning or afternoon as we were filming. I mean, there were certain rules that we had with the camera. For instance, the question of the sky was very important. I didn't want to make a kind of pictorial landscape film in the way they're usually filmed, in the sense of going widescreen, you know, making it this giant landscape. I mean, for me, the question was, how do you tell this extremely, extremely intimate, delicate story in the middle of this vast landscape, and how to use the camera and sound to do that? And one of the things that I decided was that we shouldn't see the sky the way we usually do in landscape films. There shouldn't be like this whole like escape at the top. So the sky can only be in little like slivers, like corners of the sky. It can't go all the way across the frame. And so that was kind of one of the rules of the dance until the last shot.
Question is really about behind the choice for Hani and Gael for these roles.
I don't know if I can name it really as something so precise. It was much more than her hair. I saw Hani in a couple of films and I thought she was just tremendous. I mean, had this openness, had this interesting combination, you know, of playfulness, and also could go to places of sorrow as well. And it was the same for me with Gael, you know, and the combination of them. I mean, we had a very funny, Hani reminded me the other day, the audition process was very funny, if you can call it an audition, because for me it was important how they fit together.
That was the best audition process I had ever been through. Yeah.
Gael was living in Madrid, and then we flew Hani to meet him, because it was very important how they fit together. And so I thought, okay, how am I going to see how they work together? And so I sent them on a treasure hunt, which I think I had played at like a friend's birthday party a few weeks before, which was like sending them in Madrid, like go find a green drink, something pink and fluffy, something cold. And it was like all these cards of things they had to find and photograph and, you know,
We were just walking around, like, taking photographs of each other as if we were just tourists, you know, walking around Madrid. And I think Julia was just like this paparazzi in the background, going, you know, walking a few feet behind us and taking pictures of us together and kind of just seeing how we react to each other and how we relate.
Yeah, and from that it was very clear that the way they fit together and played off each other was so lovely that that was it.